Hey there, lovely souls. Welcome to our sacred space here at Magnetize Official. Today's video is divided into two parts. First, we'll explore the divine feminine perspective, and then we'll dive into the divine masculine's experience. Have you ever wondered how the divine masculine experiences twin flame love? In this episode, we're peeling back the layers of this profound connection, uncovering the unique ways the masculine energy navigates this sacred bond compared to the divine feminine. Twin flame love exists on two levels: an energetic bond that is eternal, unbreakable, and deeply rooted in the soul's origin, and a physical experience shaped by conscious thoughts, emotions, and actions in the 3D world. Both the divine feminine and divine masculine feel the intensity of this connection, but the way they process and integrate it can be vastly different. If you're a divine feminine who has ever wondered, does my divine masculine feel this love the way I do? You're not alone. It's common to experience moments of doubt, especially when the masculine's expression of this bond appears different. But rest assured, the love is there. It's just experienced and processed in a unique way. Join me as we take a deep dive into the divine masculine's perspective, helping you gain clarity, reassurance, and a deeper understanding of this extraordinary journey. Let's get into it. The divine masculine experiences twin flame love and attraction in a way that's uniquely his own. While both counterparts feel the intensity of this soul-deep bond, the masculine often processes his feelings quite differently, especially when it comes to attraction. More often than not, though not always, the divine masculine initially interprets his attraction to the divine feminine in a highly physical way. And I say interprets because his attraction isn't just about physical desire. It extends far beyond that. His entire energy body responds to the connection, lighting up not only his lower chakras, the root and sacral, which are typically associated with passion and desire, but also his heart, his intuition, and his very soul. He's drawn to her through his higher chakras as well, his heart chakra, where he feels an unspoken emotional pull, his third eye, where his intuition whispers that she's significant in ways he may not yet fully understand, and even his crown chakra, where the divine connection between them is already written in energy. But in the beginning, his conscious mind often simplifies this experience. He may think, I must be really attracted to her. It's something about the way she looks, the way she moves, or the way she carries herself. But in truth, what he's responding to isn't just her physical form. It's her energy. And here's the fascinating part. This attraction is so powerful that he can feel it even from a distance. Oceans apart, across time zones, or even through a simple text message, he can feel her. A phone call, a social media post, or just a fleeting thought of her can trigger an undeniable pull in his body. It's as if his very being recognizes hers before his mind has even caught up to what's happening. Now, you might be wondering, if my divine masculine feels this connection so intensely, why hasn't he told me? Why does he sometimes seem distant or silent? The truth is, masculine energy often struggles to put deep, soul-level emotions into words. The intensity of this connection can be overwhelming, and rather than openly expressing what he feels, he may internalize it, sometimes even denying it to himself. But make no mistake, just because he hasn't spoken the words doesn't mean he hasn't felt them. Even if he runs, even if he resists, even if his actions don't always align with what you know in your heart. This attraction, this pull, this deep energetic magnetism never disappears. It's always there, beneath the surface, waiting for the moment he's ready to fully embrace it. Another way the divine masculine experiences twin flame love differently is through the sheer intensity of vulnerability it brings. This love isn't just about being open, it's about being broken open in a way he's never experienced before. And for someone who has spent a lifetime equating strength with control, this can feel overwhelming, even threatening. Masculine energy is often conditioned to rely on logic, to analyze, compartmentalize, and make sense of emotions in a way that feels safe. So when the divine feminine enters his life, stirring up emotions that defy all logic, his first instinct may be to resist. He might try to reason his way out of these feelings, convincing himself that it's just chemistry, or that it doesn't make sense, or that it's too intense to be real. But here's the thing about twin flame love. It can't be rationalized away. No amount of logic can undo a connection that is divinely orchestrated. No matter how much he tries to suppress, deny, or dismiss what he feels, the bond remains. It is unbreakable. It is unchangeable. And in time, he will realize that this love isn't here to break him. It's here to awaken him. The inescapable connection. Another way the divine masculine's experience of twin flame love differs is in the realization that no matter how hard he tries, he cannot escape it. He may try to run, physically distancing himself from the divine feminine, avoiding communication, convincing himself that moving on is the logical choice. But the bond doesn't disappear. The dreams, the telepathic messages, the synchronicities, they all follow him. She lingers in his thoughts at unexpected moments. He sees reminders of her everywhere. And even if he enters other relationships, there's always something missing. It's not that he isn't capable of loving someone else. It's that his soul already knows the truth. Nothing will ever compare to the connection he shares with his divine feminine. And so, whether he acknowledges it or not, he finds himself searching for her in everyone he meets. He looks for echoes of her essence, the way she speaks, the way she laughs, the energy she carries. But no one else can ever truly mirror the love he already knows deep in his heart. In the end, all roads seem to lead him back to her. Expressing love in a different way. Another key difference in how the divine masculine experiences twin flame love is in how he expresses it. The divine feminine, by nature, tends to be the queen of the upper chakra centers, especially early in the connection. She is deeply intuitive, emotionally expressive, and spiritually aware of the divine nature of their bond. With an open third eye and crown chakra, she often has a clearer understanding of what's happening, sensing the connection on a multidimensional level before the masculine fully grasps it. Her throat chakra is also more active, making her more vocal about her feelings and more willing to communicate the depth of the connection. This is why many divine feminines find themselves longing for the masculine to say something, to acknowledge, confirm, or explain what they're both feeling. But the divine masculine doesn't always express love in words. In fact, he may struggle to verbalize what he feels at all. Instead, he shows love in quieter, less obvious ways, through protection, through presence, through small gestures that may go unnoticed at first. While the feminine moves through emotions with intuition and spiritual knowing, the masculine moves through them with action. Ultimately, the twin flame journey is about balance, about both counterparts integrating and harmonizing their energies. While the feminine strengthens her ability to trust without needing constant verbal reassurance, the masculine learns to open up, to soften into vulnerability, and to embrace the full depth of the love that has been with him all along. And when that moment arrives, when the divine masculine finally surrenders to the truth of this connection, that is when the real transformation begins. It's as if an invisible weight is lifted, a resistance he may not have even realized he was holding on to. The walls he built out of fear, logic, and conditioning begin to crumble, and in their place, something far more powerful emerges. True, unconditional love. Love expressed in different ways. The divine feminine, by nature, often finds herself deeply connected to the language of the soul. She is highly expressive, eloquently putting into words what she feels, not just for her divine masculine, but for the entire spiritual experience she is undergoing. She may write poetry, create art, compose music, or even channel her emotions into storytelling. Her love is fluid, overflowing into creativity, giving shape to feelings that transcend the physical world. For many divine feminines, this connection becomes the spark behind their most profound creative endeavors. Love for their masculine transforms into words, colors, melodies, expressions that serve as love letters to the universe itself. But the masculine, in contrast, often moves differently. His energy tends to be more rooted in the lower chakras, the root, sacral, and solar plexus. These energy centers govern survival, passion, and personal power, giving him an instinctual drive to build in the material world. Because of this, the love he feels for his divine feminine often shows up through action. Even if he doesn't express it in words, this love is what fuels his ambitions, pushes him toward financial success, and motivates him to establish stability in his life. He may suddenly find himself working harder, striving for a better career, or making long-term financial moves, all subconsciously driven by the desire to create a life that he feels is worthy of his divine feminine. Why he pulls away when he feels not enough. This is also why, when the divine masculine feels that he can't yet provide the stability or security he believes his feminine deserves, he may pull back, go cold, or even push her away. From the feminine's perspective, this can be deeply confusing. She may wonder, why is he distancing himself when I can feel his love so clearly? But in the masculine's mind, the thought process often looks something like this. I love you. I want to give you everything. But right now, I don't feel like I can. And that makes me feel unworthy of you. It's not that he doesn't care. It's not that he doesn't feel the depth of the connection. Quite the opposite. He feels it so intensely that it triggers him. It forces him to face his insecurities, his fears of inadequacy, his deeply ingrained belief that love must be earned through achievement and provision. So, rather than risk being seen as not enough, he withdraws, not to abandon the connection, but to prepare for it. What he may not yet realize is that the feminine never needed his material success or external achievements. She simply wanted him, his presence, his heart, his willingness to stand beside her exactly as he is, in all his raw and unfiltered authenticity. The masculine's awakening. There comes a moment in the divine masculine's journey when everything shifts. It doesn't happen all at once. It's more like a gradual unraveling, a breaking down of the walls he once believed were necessary. After all the running, all the attempts to suppress or logically explain away the connection, he reaches a realization. Waiting until he feels worthy won't work. For so long, he measured his value by what he could provide, by his success, his achievements, his ability to create stability in the material world. But twin flame love doesn't follow the rules of the 3D. It isn't about having more. It's about being more. And when he finally understands that his divine feminine was never seeking perfection from him, only authenticity, that is when the real journey begins. Because she was never waiting for a better version of him. She was simply waiting for him to see himself the way she always has. How does the divine masculine experience twin flame love differently? Part 2. This is a highly requested continuation of my previous discussion on the divine masculine's experience of twin flame love. In any twin flame connection, the masculine and feminine counterparts navigate this love in uniquely different ways. These differences don't stem from a lack of feeling, but rather from the contrasting energies they embody in the physical world. The energetic differences between the masculine and feminine. The divine feminine naturally resonates with the upper chakra centers. Her energy flows through the crown, third eye, and throat chakras. This makes her highly intuitive, deeply connected to spiritual truths, and more vocal about the connection itself. She feels it, understands it, and often expresses it effortlessly through words, art, or energy. The divine masculine, on the other hand, tends to be more rooted in the lower chakras, the root, sacral, and solar plexus. His energy carries a denser, more physically grounded quality. He moves through life focused on material success, tangible achievements, and a strong sense of self-identity in the 3D world. His approach to love is often more practical, more silent, yet no less profound. But this difference in expression is one of the biggest reasons why the twin flame dynamic can feel confusing, especially for the divine feminine. Silent admiration, how the masculine expresses love. Differently. One of the most distinct ways the divine masculine experiences twin flame love is through silent admiration. While the feminine naturally articulates her emotions, the masculine often struggles to voice what he feels. Instead, his love shows up as an energy, an unspoken, deeply felt presence that can be sensed by the feminine on a soul level. Yet, in the physical 3D world, this silent devotion can feel frustrating, even painful. For a wounded feminine, especially one in a vulnerable emotional state, this lack of verbal affirmation may create feelings of doubt. She may wonder, if he truly feels this connection, why doesn't he say it? This feeling is especially heightened during times of separation or when communication feels distant. The feminine, so accustomed to expressing love, struggles to understand why the masculine seems to withhold it. But here's the deeper truth. Why the divine masculine struggles to express his feelings. It's not that he doesn't feel the connection, it's that his way of processing love is fundamentally different. As we touched on earlier, the masculine's energy is often weaker in the throat chakra, early in the connection. While the feminine flows with the natural ease of self-expression, the masculine may struggle to put his emotions into words. He feels so much, yet articulating those feelings doesn't come naturally to him. For many divine masculines, love is something they show, not something they say. Their devotion is woven into their actions, their silent presence, their desire to build and provide. This can be frustrating for the feminine, but understanding this difference is crucial. The masculine is expressing love. It's just not always in the way the feminine expects. Bridging the gap. Understanding each other's language of love. The twin flame journey isn't about one counterpart leading, while the other follows. It's about integration. It's a delicate dance of energies where both the divine masculine and divine feminine are learning to balance their unique strengths. The divine feminine, deeply attuned to the upper chakras, encourages the masculine to open his heart, to find his voice, and to step fully into his truth. She embodies spiritual wisdom, intuition, and expression, often seeing the connection with an undeniable clarity. The divine masculine, rooted in the lower chakras, grounds the feminine's spiritual knowing into the physical world. He teaches her the power of embodiment, how to take divine inspiration and bring it into tangible reality. Together, they don't just speak love, they become it. And that's where true union begins. Why the divine masculine stays silent in his admiration. There's a reason the divine masculine often holds back his words, especially during pivotal moments in the divine feminine's journey. It's not because he doesn't see her growth, it's because he sees it so profoundly that he doesn't always feel worthy of standing beside her in that moment. On a soul level, he deeply admires the divine feminine as she rises into her power, becoming more radiant, more authentic, more fully herself. Yet, as he watches her embody her divine light, he's also confronted with his own shadows. The parts of himself he feels are still unhealed or unprepared. And in those moments, his silence isn't rejection. It's reverence. He doesn't want to overshadow her brilliance or disrupt her journey with his own internal battles. From his 3D perspective, if he isn't fully ready to meet her at her level, he may instinctively withdraw. Not because he doesn't care, but because he cares so much that he refuses to come forward unless he feels he can offer something real and lasting. The twin flame bond transcends physical distance. This dynamic can be deeply confusing for the divine feminine. She may wonder, if he truly admires me, why isn't he stepping in to celebrate my growth? Why does he seem more distant, just as I'm becoming my most powerful self? The answer lies in the very essence of the twin flame connection. In the physical world, the masculine and feminine often perceive love through the lens of action, what is said, what is done, how often they show up in each other's lives. But on a soul level, twin flames are eternally bonded. There is no separation, only energetic shifts. Every time the divine feminine heals, rises, and embraces her truth, she is shifting the entire connection. Whether the masculine is physically present or not, he is feeling her transformation. Her expansion inevitably triggers his, even if it's happening behind the scenes. The power of self-healing in the twin flame journey. The most transformative shift in a twin flame connection doesn't come from chasing, convincing, or waiting. It comes from healing. When the divine feminine fully embraces her authentic self, she naturally calls the divine masculine back to his own truth, without force, without expectation, simply by existing in her radiant, sovereign energy. This is the catalyst for true reunion, not just in the physical sense, but on a soul level where both counterparts rise into their highest expression. Why the divine masculine watches? From the sidelines, unlike other forms of masculine energy in relationships, The divine masculine doesn't seek to dominate, control, or passively receive love. At his core, he desires a true partnership, one built on energetic equality. He doesn't want to take a seat at the table unless he knows he can stand beside the divine feminine as her equal. This isn't about ego, it's about recognition. On a higher self level, he knows that twin flames are not meant to take from each other. They are meant to co-create. They are divine counterparts, meant to walk this path together in balance. So, if he doesn't yet feel ready to show up fully, he may withdraw. Not out of disinterest, but because he knows deep down that she deserves the best version of him. His silence isn't rejection. It's a sign of his internal work, his preparation to meet her as an equal in all aspects of life. How the divine masculine experiences twin flame love differently. The way the divine masculine experiences twin flame love is not necessarily different from the feminine's. It's just expressed in a way that contrasts with other forms of masculine energy. In typical relationships, a wounded masculine may seek to take from the feminine, whether emotionally, energetically, or even materially. But a healed divine masculine does not seek to take. He seeks to build alongside her. That said, there may have been times when the masculine, in his wounded state, felt like he was drawing from the feminine's energy, whether through emotional support, validation, or even through the feminine's unwavering belief in the connection. And while he may have accepted that dynamic in the moment, on a soul level, it never truly sat right with him. Because deep down, he knows. This connection was never meant to be about sacrifice. It was never meant to be about one giving while the other takes. When the masculine operates from an unhealed space, where he unconsciously receives more than he gives, it creates deep discomfort within him. This inner turmoil often manifests as physical separation, as his soul refuses to settle for anything less than balance. Twin flame. Separation. A journey of alignment. Twin flame separation isn't just about physical distance. It's about energetic alignment. The union was never something to chase. It was always something to become. When both counterparts rise into their full power, healing, growing, and embodying their higher selves, separation naturally dissolves. The twin flame connection isn't about waiting for the other to catch up. It's about walking your own path with such authenticity and strength that your energy naturally calls in its divine counterpart. Why the divine masculine cannot align with traditional love models. Divine masculine energy was never meant to fit within the 3D framework of love, one built on conditional exchanges, self-sacrifice, or one partner giving, while the other simply receives. That kind of dynamic creates deep unrest within him, even if he can't always express why. When the divine feminine over-sacrifices, giving too much of her energy in hopes of reassurance, validation, or closeness, the divine masculine feels the imbalance. And while this pattern may temporarily persist, on a soul level, he cannot sustain it. So he pulls away. Not as a rejection of the feminine, but as a rejection of the outdated dynamic that keeps them from fully stepping into their power. The masculine's withdrawal. A higher perspective. From the divine, feminine's viewpoint, this can feel confusing. Why does he step back when she's offering so much? Why does her love seem to push him further away? But in truth, what he is doing, whether consciously or not, is honoring her. A true divine masculine will not settle for a connection where his counterpart dims her own light to support him. He desires an equal, not a caretaker. And if the energy dynamic begins to mirror old paradigms of imbalance, he will instinctively withdraw. Because his soul knows. This love was never meant to be about sacrifice. It was meant to be about balance, breaking the cycle and creating a new paradigm of love. When the masculine pulls away, it's not because he doesn't care. It's because his soul is guiding him to disrupt old patterns. His withdrawal creates space for both counterparts to heal separately so that they can come back together differently. Twin flames are here to anchor a new kind of love, one that transcends the restrictive, transactional nature of traditional relationships. Twin flame, love, a journey of wholeness. This love was never about giving and taking. It was always about being. True twin flame union isn't built on compromise or self-sacrifice. It's built on two whole beings coming together, standing in their power and choosing each other from a place of strength, not lack. The divine masculine, in his heart, carries a protective love for his divine feminine. Even in moments of separation, even in silence, he feels a deep discomfort when he sees her overgiving, dimming her light, or martyring herself for the sake of others, including him. On a soul level, it hurts him to see her abandon herself in ways she would never need to. Because he doesn't just love her, he believes in her. His soul calls for her to stand fully in her power, not just for their connection, but for herself. The third way the divine masculine experiences twin flame love differently. Twin flame love calls forth the highest potential in both counterparts. But here's where the experience often differs. The divine feminine, who often leads in spiritual awareness, soul purpose, and emotional evolution, has typically already walked through deep initiations before consciously recognizing the twin flame connection. She understands the depth of their bond, the lessons embedded in it, and the transformation it requires. The divine masculine, on the other hand, often enters the connection having mastered the physical world, establishing material stability, building his external life, and grounding himself in earthly success. But when he meets his divine feminine, something shifts. She calls him higher, towards his most authentic, spiritually evolved self. She stirs within him a deep knowing that he is meant for more than what the 3D world has told him he is. And while he wants to step into this higher version of himself, he may not yet feel ready. The masculine's inner conflict, bridging the gap at his core, the divine masculine knows the truth of this connection. He sees the divine feminine as his ideal counterpart and envisions a life with her as the highest expression of love he could experience. So why does he hesitate? Because deep down, he recognizes the gap between where he is now and the level of consciousness she is calling him toward. He senses that this connection isn't just about love, it's about transformation. She isn't just his counterpart, she is his catalyst, his guide toward a more awakened, healed, and spiritually fulfilled version of himself. And if he hasn't fully stepped into that version yet, he may feel unworthy of the love he knows is meant for him. For the divine feminine, this can be deeply confusing. But understand this: his soul isn't rejecting the connection. His soul already chose you. It's his human self, his conditioned self, that is still catching up. I know many of you, especially those who resonate with the divine feminine energy, are deeply curious about how the divine masculine experiences the twin flame connection. My hope is that this discussion has given you some clarity and insight into these profound dynamics. If this message resonated with you, I invite you to engage, like, comment, and subscribe to Magnetize Official for more wisdom and guidance on your twin flame journey. Share this message with those who might need to hear it, and if you feel called, consider supporting the channel with a super thanks. Your support truly helps keep this space thriving. Thank you for being here, for walking this path of growth, love, and spiritual awakening. Until next time, may you move forward with courage, clarity, and unwavering faith in the beautiful unfolding of your journey.